Hello and welcome to another episode on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzy and I'm your host for today's show. What a beautiful sight as the Premier League is back and the season is now underway. Lots to discuss as we cover all of the games that took place over the weekend in Match Week 1. But before we begin, we have a new segment to our Premier League weekly shows as we have added a calling session. So if you'd like to come on and have your say, the link is pinned in the live chat. So let's begin with the first review. And that is the Super Sunday game between Chelsea and Man City. Now, what a performance in the opening game for the champions as they beat Chelsea comfortably at Stamford Bridge with a 2-0 scoreline. Eyes were on Cucurella and Haaland in the build-up as Cucurella mentioned Haaland's name in a sing-along during Spain's celebration after winning the Euros. Well, the Spanish fullback won't be singing anytime soon. As Haaland broke the deadlock for the citizens, he makes a charging run into the penalty box, holding off Cucurella, ironically, and applies a lovely dig finish to hit the back of the net. Great start from Man City and great play from Doku on the left wing to create the opening. Man City almost made it 2-0 as their new signing Savinho runs down the right wing, lays it off to Kevin De Bruyne, who shoots from the edge of the box. Unfortunately, just misses the target. Now, Savinho looks like a decent player as he was showing shades of Riyad Mahrez to me. The way he dribbled on the wing, and he's also wearing a 26 shirt, which was previously worn by the Algerian winger. I think Savinho will have an impactful season for City. Chelsea had a penalty shot as Gusto squares it to Enzo from the right channel. His poor touch takes the ball forward by a few yards, but Savinho makes a challenge from behind. Now, for me, not enough contact to award a penalty there. Doku almost gets on the score sheet as he hits a fantastic shot from outside the box. Sanchez tips the ball over the bar. Now in the second half, Haaland has a half chance to add to his tally, but it's parried away by the Chelsea keeper. Chelsea then present the best moment of the game as Lavia heads the ball over to the City defense and finds Action Jackson, who applies an acrobatic finish but hits it straight at the keeper. But then City make it 2-0. And it was a former Blue, Kovacic, who rattles the net with a great shot from distance. So overall, a great start for City's Premier League campaign. Could they make it 5 in a row in terms of Premier League titles? Honestly, I think so. It's theirs to lose, and right now, they look very assured. It will take one hell of a performance from another side to knock City off their perch. Just a side note on Chelsea before I review the next game. The new manager, Enzo Maresca, has made Enzo Fernandez Chelsea captain. Now, call it what you will, but I think that's an awful decision from the club, considering what happened in the summer where Enzo was in the spotlight for singing a racist chant about African French players. To give him the captain's armband is a slap in the face and a complete disrespect to the black players in the Chelsea squad. Chelsea have got a history with regards to racist incidents. One sticks to mind is when Chelsea fans assaulted a black man in Paris on the train that went viral a few years ago. The club have really dropped the ball, and what on earth is this manager thinking? For me, he's going to lose the dressing room with his decision, and to go a step further, I actually think he'll be the first manager sacked in the Premier League. And also, these Chelsea players, they need to stop singing the likes of Enzo and Cucurella and let their football do the talking on the pitch. Also, a big talking point off-field, and that was before the game with regards to Raheem Sterling, who was not selected for the Chelsea squad. Now, his team released a statement to basically say he should have been selected, and they would like to have some clarity as to why he wasn't selected in the squad. Now, I understand his frustration for not being selected, but to release a statement before the game was a mistake, in my opinion. Now, could that affect his future at the club? It shouldn't, but you can never rule it out, as the manager could take it the wrong way and view Raheem Sterling as a disruptive character. So let's see how this unfolds. Now, on to the next game. Arsenal versus Wolves. The Gunners have started the campaign in flying colours as well. It all started with Saka applying a lovely cross from the right-hand side into the 6-yard box. Kai Havertz then heads the ball from close range to make it 1-0. Wolves midfielder Bellegarde almost equalises with his free kick, but his effort just goes over the bar. New loan signing Jurgen Strand Larsen almost opens his goal scoring account for Wolves with a diving header, but Raya makes a fantastic save to parry the ball away. In the second half, Wolves certainly applied more pressure on the Gunners with chances from Aït-Nouri and Cunha, but they were unable to really trouble the keeper. In the end, Arsenal add another goal to their tally to make it 2-0. Lovely play from Saka on the right-hand side, who cuts in and hits a shot with pure power to rattle the net. A great win for the Gunners. Partey makes his return to the team and adds a bit more protection to the back line. If he stays fit, it could really help the Gunners challenge for the title. I still think they need to sign a lethal finisher, but as it stands, they're probably the closest rivals to City, in my opinion. Now, a match of two halves was the reflection of Liverpool's performance against Ipswich Town. In the first half, Ipswich were by far the more direct and aggressive team, and to be fair, it was kind of expected. They've been absent from the Premier League for 22 years, so this was a huge occasion for the Tractor Boys. You had stars like Ed Sheeran in the crowd, ready for the occasion. The crowd were loud and made their voices heard, providing an electric atmosphere. Liverpool was still half asleep during this midday kickoff. Ipswich Town were pressing from the front and refused to show any respect to the Liverpool defenders and didn't give them any space to make any distribution from the back. The best chance of the first half came through a counter-attack as Hutchinson goes charging through towards the edge of the penalty box. He cuts in and shoots from distance, but unfortunately hits it straight at Alisson. Liverpool had a chance where a mistake from Wolfenden led to Luis Diaz going through on goal. One-on-one with the keeper, but Walton was a step ahead and made the crucial block to avoid the shot hitting the target. Big talking point of the first half was possibly the red card shout as Ipswich Town winger Wes Burns pushes the ball away after a little tussle with Jota. He was booked earlier in the game, but the ref seemed to have forgotten and only provided a free kick with Liverpool players and Arne in dismay with the decision not to present a red card. So for me, Ipswich Town got lucky there. But in the second half, it was a different game altogether. Arne who was making his debut in a competitive game as Liverpool head coach, made an instant halftime substitution as Kwanzaa was taken off for Konate. Kwanzaa, for me, wasn't that bad in the first half, but fair play to the coach. Arne said he was losing too many aerial duels, so you have to respect the ruthlessness shown by the coach to make sure the team are in a better position, and things certainly improved. Konate provided plenty of steel in the back line that allowed Trent Alexander-Arnold to charge down the right-hand side, and he was influential with Liverpool breaking the deadlock. But before that happened, Liverpool had a couple of chances that should have been converted. The first chance was through Trent Alexander-Arnold, who lays the ball off to Diaz in the 6-yard box. He tries to lift the ball above the keeper, but completely miscued it, and the ball goes over the bar. Big opportunity there for the Colombian winger, who for me needs to do much better in these situations, as there's always going to be question marks with regards to his GNA tally. Then moments later, Trent whipped in a fantastic cross to Jota, who was a few yards out. He applied the header, but unfortunately he just missed the target. But Liverpool then managed to break the deadlock. Lovely through ball by Trent to Salah, who squares it to Jota, and he applies a clinical finish in the corner. 1-0 to Liverpool, and that goal gave the team more confidence to hit that next gear. And it wasn't that long until Liverpool made it 2-0. Great play from OZZWRLD to thread the ball towards Salah, who controls it and slots it in the back of the net. Overall, a great performance in the end from Liverpool. In the second half, Liverpool showed a different brand of football from what we're used to in previous years under Klopp. We played high possession football with quick and slick passes, and it's very easy on the eye. Some fans might not buy into it as it's not heavy metal football, but I say give it time. Once we start getting results against the bigger teams, respectively, the wave will shift, and as Klopp would say, doubters will become believers. A big shout out to Ryan Gravenberch, who for me was man of the match. He was fantastic in his number 6 role, and some fans were surprised with how well he played in a double pivot. For me, that was not the case. I've been following his career for a few years now, and for Ajax, that's exactly the role he played, and I think it suits his skill set perfectly. Is he the long-term answer to that position? He could have a great future there, but for me, Liverpool still need to sign a defensive midfielder who is a technical deep playmaker. I'd also throw in a left-sided centre-back and a right winger, but according to FSG, I might be sounding too greedy there. Liverpool are the only club that haven't signed a player in this window in the Premier League, but with less than 2 weeks now, I'm praying we get some business done. Now, on to the next fixture. Manchester United opened the Premier League in this Friday night encounter against Fulham, and it wasn't a walk in the park to say the least. Fulham almost opened the score sheet as Tete sees Onana off his line and tries to curl it into the top corner, but the United keeper manages to parry it away. Then United create a chance with Bruno Fernandes through an on goal after Bernd Leno gives the ball away in silly fashion, but his effort is blocked by the German keeper. Moments later, Fernandes has another chance as he drives into the box and hits a first-time finish, blocked again by Leno. Nice quick passing from United there. The midfielder should have done better there with that opportunity, but it was super sub and new signing OZZIE'S, who opens his goal-scoring account with his new club. Garnacho hits a low cross from the right side, and OZZIE'S applies a neat finish with his left foot to hit the back of the net. United had another chance to extend the lead as Rashford goes through on goal and squares it to Garnacho, who makes a complete hash of it, embarrassing from the attacker there. But United got the win, and that's what matters. But they will need to improve on their performance. Currently, they're winning the transfer window, making a number of signings with the likes of Euro, OZZIE'S, De Ligt, and Mazraoui. So Ten Hag has certainly backed in this window. So big season ahead for the Red Devils. And with the new additions, you're expecting them to challenge for the title. Will that happen? Remains to be seen, but that is now the expectation for the club. Next game, West Ham versus Aston Villa. Another team that's probably rivaling United with regards to winning the transfer window, and that is West Ham. But for me, unfortunately, it wasn't the best of starts for the Hammers as Villa's new signing, Onana, breaks the deadlock with a fantastic header to make it 1-0 for Villa. Poor defending from West Ham as Onana gets a free hit on goal. Rodgers almost extends the lead for the Villains, but his effort was saved by Areola. And then moments later, Leon Bailey was through on goal, but clips the post, unfortunately. Huge opportunity as Areola was in no man's land with regards to that moment there. Villa need to be more clinical, and unfortunately at that time, it appeared costly, as West Ham were then awarded a penalty as Matty Cash fouled Souček in the box. For me, a very soft penalty to concede. That is the letter of the law, unfortunately. Paqueta steps up and converts the penalty in style to make it 1-1. But in the second half, Villa looked like the more likely team to win as they produced more chances. Rodgers again had a shot on target, but this time it was parried away. Then late in the game, Villa striker John Duran grabs the winner with his instinctive finish. The irony with the goal scorer is that he was very close to signing for the Hammers a couple of weeks ago, and it looked like he was destined to become a West Ham player. But it looked like he's come to the London Stadium to burst their bubble. So in the end, Villa get the important win, and they start their Premier League campaign with 3 points. Now, on to the other games that took place in the league. So we'll start with Newcastle versus Southampton. Newcastle got the win in the end, but it was a bit of a crazy game. It all started with new Southampton signing Burton Diaz stepping up to Fabian Schär, who wasn't pleased about the striker's challenge. Fabian Schär tried to square up to the striker there and nudged his head forward. Diaz ends up dropping to the ground like he just received a haymaker. Now, Obviously, he went down dramatically, but can you blame him? He knows that if an opponent makes that sort of contact, they will get a red card. And unfortunately, that's exactly what happened. Shaw got a red card. Newcastle were down to 10 men. But thankfully, that didn't stop them from getting the winner as Joelinton scores with his left foot before half-time. Southampton showed persistence in trying to equalise in the second half, but in the end, the Tsunami was successful and got the crucial win. Now, the Seagulls got their highest goal-scoring win, which puts them top of the table. And to be honest, I thought Everton would have made it a difficult afternoon for Brighton, but it just wasn't the case. Mitoma returns to the team and opens the scoreline, scoring from close range. Brighton make it 2-0 with a calm finish from Danny Welbeck. Ashley Young gets a red card for dragging Mitoma down to the ground, and right decision there, poor decision making from Ashley Young. Not sure what he was thinking with that challenge. Adingra then makes it 3-0 with a left-footed finish. Great win for the Seagulls, but a concern for Everton, as I'm not sure where the goals are going to come from. They had a few chances in this game, but were very wasteful in front of goal. This will need to be addressed. Otherwise, it's going to be a very difficult season for the Merseyside team to avoid the drop. It's not a Premier League match week without a bit of controversy from the officials, and unfortunately, this was the game where a goal was wrongly chalked off. Crystal Palace's player Eze executed a fantastic free kick from the right channel, but as he hit the ball, the ref blew the whistle as there was a foul from Will Hughes on Collins in the box. Now, because the referee blew the whistle before the ball hit the back of the net, VAR do not have the power to intervene, and the ref's decision is final. Now, that's a poor piece of judgment from the referee to blow the whistle so early. Had he waited for the ball to hit the back of the net, VAR could have reviewed the incident and provided a more accurate decision, which would have been the best outcome. Also, I actually don't think it was a foul from Will Hughes on Collins, so that doesn't help with the ref's decision to blow the whistle so early. Eze confirmed in the post-match interview that the ref apologized to him for blowing the whistle too early, but fair play to Eze, he spoke with class and didn't put the ref under the bus by saying we all make mistakes and it's just how it is. So having said that, you still have to feel for Eze, as it was a great free kick and the goal should have stood for Crystal Palace. Back to the game, Brentford capitalized and took the lead just before halftime. Fantastic play from Mbeumo from the right wing. He cuts in and hits a lethal shot into the corner, 1-0 to Brentford. Palace then equalised in the second half through a Pinnicon goal, but Wissa clinches the winner in the 76th minute, scoring from the rebound in close range. So a big win for Brentford, but Palace will feel like they've been robbed, with possibly gaining a point, and rightly so. Firstly, thoughts and prayers to Nottingham Forest player Danilo, who suffered a horrific injury, dislocating his ankle from an awkward landing as he challenged Semenyo in the air. But thankfully, he went on social media to confirm that he's fine and he's at home. So we wish him a speedy recovery. And the game goes on, and Nottingham Forest open a score sheet with Chris Wood scoring from close range. But Semenyo gets a late equaliser with an easy tap-in to rescue a point for the Cherries. And today's game between Leicester City ended 1-1, and the goal scorers were Jamie Vardy and Pedro Porro. So that ends the fixtures of match week 1. So what we'll do now, we will present the league table. Now I know it's match week 1, but you got to give Brighton fans, a bit of shine right now because they are top of the league. So as you can see, top of the league with 3 points there. Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Villa, Brentford, Man United, and Newcastle all victorious as well. And then you've got Bournemouth, Leicester, Nottingham Forest, Tottenham, Crystal Palace, West Ham United, Fulham, Southampton, Chelsea, just above relegation zone there. And then you've got Ipswich, Wolves, and Everton. So good start for Brighton, obviously with the highest goal tally there. But wins for Arsenal, Liverpool, and Man City, which will definitely play a part in terms of the title challenge. So what we'll do before I do my match week 2 predictions, I will present the FPL league table. So I'm not sure if it's been up there just due to the fact that a a match has just concluded. But for now, we'll give the recognition to the one who's currently on top, and that is gunman OZZIE in first place, scoring 77 points. This was last updated on Sunday, so things can change. But for the courtesy of the show, you are the FPL manager of the week, so well done to you. Now, in terms of the top 10, you've got Chris Barnett, Pastor Mania, Kojak De La Cruz in joint third there, Ranzel Dabre, Rich Aponsa with BG United. You've got Old Habit Kai Hard, Umair Rahman's team there, and AMD RZL, Emmanuel Babalola with Team BET, and Lee Walker, with Pippo and Zagi. So that is the top 10. Where on earth am I in the league? That is the big question. So I am in 41st position with 63 points. So I'm not happy with that. But if you look at the difference, it's only 14 points. So, I need to try and make up the numbers as the week goes on. But that is the current standing of the FPL. What we'll do now, we will go through the fixtures of match week 2. And I'll just give you my prediction in terms of who I think will win and give you a score line as well whilst we're at it. So midday kickoff goes to United this time, and it's not Liverpool, thank God for that. So Brighton face Manchester United. This will be a tough game, I think, especially with it being at the Amex Stadium. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw for that fixture. Crystal Palace versus West Ham. That's going to be an exciting game, especially with the new signings that West Ham have made. I'm going to go for an away win. I think West Ham will win 2-1. Fulham versus Leicester City. So Leicester City got the crucial point against Spurs today. So against Fulham, I'm going to give Fulham the edge, and I think they will win 1-0. Ipswich Town obviously faced Liverpool in match week 1, and they've got the daunting task of facing the champions in back-to-back weeks in match week 2. So this will be a win for Man City, and I think the scoreline will be 3-0. Southampton versus Nottingham Forest. I know Southampton didn't win, but I did see some glimmer of hope in terms of how they were playing. They made some interesting signings. They signed Archer from Sheffield United. So some decent acquisitions there. Burton Diaz as well. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for Southampton. Spurs versus Everton. I think this will be a 3-1 victory to Spurs. I say 3-1. I don't even know who will score for Everton because they just don't look like they'll be firing all cylinders this season. But we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. 3-1 is my prediction for that game. 5:30 kickoff between Aston Villa and Arsenal, and what game that is. I'm going to say that game is going to end as a draw, and I believe it will end with a 1-1 scoreline. The Sunday matches, Bournemouth versus Newcastle. I'm going to go for a Newcastle win. I think it'll be 1-0 to Newcastle. Wolves versus Chelsea. Chelsea are going through all sorts right now, more so off the pitch than on. I'm going to say it's going to be a 0-0. I don't know why. It's got the feeling that it's going to be a bit of a ball fest. And Liverpool versus Brentford, I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory for Liverpool at Anfield there. So that is my predictions for match week 2. Before we conclude the show, just going to go through some of the comments here. It's Arne is just the first game, guys. Bro, Kovacic, dude, done good. And he also said big up to you. Thank you for your comments and thank you for tuning in. So before we wrap up, I do have something to present. So I will present my pre-season predictions. So don't take it as gospel. It will definitely change once the transfer window closes. But with the season just underway, it's only customary that I give you my early thoughts in terms of who I think will win or will finish in the league, as well as certain other criteria. So top 4, I think Man City will win the league. I just don't see anyone surpassing them. However, if Arsenal addressed their attack by signing a top striker, then my opinion could be swayed there. But as it stands, I think Man City have too much for any of the teams in the Premier League. Arsenal, for me, will be the closest rivals to Man City, so I believe they'll finish in second place. I'm going to say Liverpool will finish in third position. Some early sort of indication that we're playing a different brand of football, which for me is quite exciting. I'm intrigued in terms of the tactics deployed by the new coach in Arne. So I feel like we'll definitely be competing. Whether we challenge for the title remains to be seen. I do feel like we'll be there up, but I just don't think we'll have enough because as it stands, and this is why I say this is my pre-season predictions, if things change in the transfer window where miraculously Liverpool make some acquisitions to the squad, then my opinion will change. But as it stands, I don't feel like we have enough strength and depth to go all the way and win the title. And especially as we're competing in full competitions, it's going to be a big task to do so. So for me, Liverpool will finish in third. Now, fourth, I was having a slight debate with myself with this one. It was between Spurs and United. United have been very proactive in the transfer window, signing some good players. They've signed Euro, up and coming centre back, OZZIE'S, who's a fantastic attacker. You've also got De Ligt, who would be an ideal partner for Euro, but Euro is out for a few months. But nevertheless, he will add stability in that back line. And then you've also got Mazurai, who is an attack-minded right back with great end product. The only concern with him is his injury record. So they made some good quality acquisitions. However, I feel like there's a lot of areas that need to be addressed in that Manchester United squad. Left back for me, one that really needs to be addressed. They're currently playing Dalot in that position, so having a right-footed player on that side, and doesn't really look comfortable there either, in my opinion. So for me, a left-footed left back is required. Luke Shaw's always out with injuries. I'm not too sure what the situation is with Malacia. So for me, United need to strengthen their midfield. They're still lacking a number 6 in that area of the pitch. Up top as well, I know they're signing OZZIE'S, but I feel like they needed a more experienced striker up top. So as it stands, I'm only saying Spurs. For me, they get a slight edge. I think the acquisition of Solanke is an interesting signing. I think he'll be prolific for them. They've signed Archie Gray as well, who looks like a decent talent, can play as a box-to-box midfielder, but is very versatile, so he'll be useful in terms of team selection for Andrew Postecoglou there. So I feel like they're a bit more well-equipped. I think United and Spurs, there's not too much to separate them, but obviously with the transfer window still looming, and I'm sure United will be proactive by adding more players to their squad. I'll give a more thorough analysis in terms of why I've selected certain teams in certain positions. But as it stands, this is my top 4. So drop a comment and let me know what you guys think. I know I'm going to get all sorts of responses, but hey, why not have a debate about it? Let's have a discussion. So yeah, I'm all for it. Just got a comment here from GT Football Channel. Big up Ozzy, big up G as always. Appreciate you coming on and dropping your comment. Now, relegation. Not a nice topic to do, but it's part and parcel of doing these pre-season predictions. So for me, Everton, I just don't see them scoring goals. They look vulnerable up top, and you can't rely your goals on Calvert-Lewin, where his injury record is pretty awful. And when he comes on, he's not that impactful. Last season, I believe it took him a good few months to even open his goal scoring account. I think he was 2024. That was the turn of the year when he started scoring. So, and he didn't score a lot of goals. So for me, that area needs to be addressed. They haven't replaced Onana, who for me was probably one of their best players in the team. So they've got a lot of work to do. And obviously with the profitability and sustainability rules, there's only so much they can invest in acquiring new players. So it's going to be a big season for Sean Dyche to try and avoid the drop. Ipswich Town, even though they looked really good against Liverpool in terms of their style of play, I just think the task of playing at this highest level will be too much for them. So I think, unfortunately, they will probably get relegated. And Leicester City, they got some decent players, but I think the dropping of the points because of the breach of rules for the profitability and sustainability stuff that happened last season might affect their overall campaign. So yeah, that is my relegation teams at the minute, but it could change with the transfer window. How long we got? We've got about 12 days left, so you just never know. Got a couple of comments here from GT. Says, think the top four is calm, to be honest. Appreciate G. And he also says Leicester City will be calm. I think Everton is my team. Them lot need to go. They do. I've been predicting them to be relegated for the last 2-3 years, and they just somehow get away with it. Especially last year, considering they didn't really have a lethal goal scorer, they just kept on getting the wins because they had such a stable defense. Obviously, with a Sean Dyche team in place as well. So, will this be the year? Who knows? The noisy neighbours might go down. Remains to be seen. Now, surprise package will be quite obvious to some. For me, will be West Ham United. I think they're signing some really good players. The signing of Somerville. I know he didn't start in the game over the weekend, but I feel like in due time he will be competing for a place on that left wing position, and he will certainly add goals to this West Ham team. Fulkrug is an interesting signing for me. I see him more as an impact player rather than a starter. I feel like the pace of the league will definitely hit him when he plays consecutive games, but he's a finisher. And like he showed for Germany in the Euros, even if he was sort of like an impact sub, he'll be quite useful to West Ham. So they've made some really good signings. They've still kept hold of Kudus, who was phenomenal last season. So I feel like with all these acquisitions as well, Todibo in centre back position, he's going to surprise a lot of people. He's very good. Surprised United didn't go for him, but obviously they went for Euro and did it instead. So no, I think they've made some really smart signings. Wan-Bissaka as well, adding stability on that right back position. So yeah, I think they're making the right moves. Whether they, embed in terms of the philosophy of Lopetegui and play the football that he wants the team to play remains to be seen. But that is always the sticky point, where if you sign so many players, will they get used to the way the team coach wants to play? Remains to be seen. But I think there'll be a surprise package. I think they'll be challenging for European place, not quite Champions League. I'd probably say Europa/Conference League. I think they'll be up around those sort of positions. So yeah, exciting times to be a West Ham fans, because they've got a lot of players that have been signed, and they're of good quality as well, to be honest. Now, this won't be a huge surprise. Under the achievers, all sorts going on at Chelsea right now. On and off the field, they've got around 43 squad players, which is unbelievable. And it's not really including like youth players. This is actual first team players that they have. I think the 10 players that they had to drop were like starters for most teams. So like Raheem Sterling, Sholaba, Kepa, Razabiaga. You got all of these like good level players can't even get into the squad. So bit of news development in terms of Gallagher. He looks like he might be set to leave, with João Felix joining Chelsea. If you're a Chelsea fan, drop a comment. Let me know what you think of that signing. From what I've seen on social media, it's a bit of a split opinion. Some people are all for it. Some people are totally against it. But I don't see Chelsea doing much this season. I think they'll be mid-table. And that's probably the highest achievement they'll do, because they've got quality in that squad. But I feel like the manager will be underwhelmed, and I think he'll be out of his depth, because for him to manage egos and so many players as well, trying to keep everyone happy is an impossible task. And he's only had 60 odd games experience as a manager. It's a big task for Maresca to get the ball rolling. I think he's made such a bad error with regards to assigning Enzo Fernandez as the Chelsea captain, yeah, not the right step to take as the new manager. But let's see what happens for Chelsea in the future. One to watch. So this is more for me. It's like a breakout talent, someone that we were not too familiar with, and I feel like he's gonna provide a big impression. And that's Yankuba Minte. So he was a Newcastle player that went out on loan to Feyenoord last year. So he was playing under Arne Slot. Right winger, very attack minded, really quick on the ball, fantastic dribbling ability, and he can really take a shot from distance as well. So all rounder, and I feel like he's definitely going to have a great impact for Brighton this season. So that's why he's my one to watch. And top goal scorer, you have to be a rocket scientist to know who I'm going to pick and who I'm sure a lot of us would predict, and that's Erling Haaland. I just don't think anyone rivals him. The only player that would probably rival Haaland in terms of numbers is probably Mohamed Salah, but I feel like his role is going to be a little bit different for Liverpool, where he's a bit more of a playmaker rather than a clinical finisher. But as it stands, that's my prediction for top scorer. So this is my early preseason predictions. I'll be doing a Premier League prediction show just after the transfer window closes. It will be a bit more of a thorough analysis, and we can review each team and the squad and the players that they've signed, and then I can give you my reasoning in terms of why I've placed certain teams in the league table. But as it stands, this is just my early thoughts with the season starting. So that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. In terms of upcoming content, so in regards to the Premier League review show, the plan is to do this every Monday. So the next show will be next Monday live at 10 p.m. So make a note in your diaries. In terms of content for this week, I'll be doing a couple of transfer talk shows. One will be tomorrow, and then on Wednesday I'll be doing a Liverpool transfer talk show. Not a lot going on with regards to Liverpool, but it's customary for me to do it. So I'll discuss as many rumours as I can. And then on Thursday evening, I'll be doing a match preview of Liverpool versus Brentford. So lots of show coming your way. Thank you again for listening or watching. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak to you all very, very soon. Goodbye.